Okay, welcome back everyone in the third lecture of the Pl-Sql. So here we have stopped in the last lecture. So I kept that screen here so you can be just continue from then and you can link it from that things. So now just how to write a if and end in this. So we are not going to talk about the logic, we'll talk about the syntaxes that how you write a if and end there. So we'll go to the screen where we can write our syntaxes. So I'll go there. Okay. So here we will be writing a if and block. So how to write that? Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll use a ed. Okay. So now I'm sure that you are able to see this also. This was the last what we have written. So now we will write a if and end. So I'll remove all these things. Okay, so our block starts with declare. Now here we are going to declare two variables. Okay, one variable we name as we can directly refer to the table also, or we can provide a data type here. So we'll say here varchar 2 20 and we age number 3. Okay, now here we'll start with the begin. Okay, so now we'll retrieve the record from database. So we'll say now select name comma age into rename comma vh from Bollywood where id equal to, let's say, the 1. Okay, so now can we say that these record has come into these variables? Now we'll start with the if. Okay, if vh is less than equal to 30. Okay, so then what we have to do here now, we have to display that record, sorry, how to write it here, dbms underscore output dot put underscore line. We'll say here record fetched is a minor and we'll concat with space and we'll concat with a vh. Simple. Now else, okay, we'll just copy this and we'll say here record you have fetched is a major and vh. So simple here. We'll say here now you have started the if, so it never ended. In many places it ends with the brackets. So here we don't have any brackets. So we have to use a keyword and if. Very simple here. So now this is done. Then we'll see end the block and we'll close this. Okay, so it has come here. Now we'll execute. Okay, so we got so many errors. What error we are getting it here? Line 8. Okay. Here the concatenation is pending. That's the issue we have done it here. So again, we will say now make a changes. Let me share that first. Sorry, it's wrong share. This and okay, so I'm sure you're able to see both the things. Something is wrong, so let make it again clear here. Just give me a second. Now you are able to see this. So here only the error we have done is here concatenated. So we'll close this. We'll come back here. You are able to see this now. Yes. Let's execute. Okay, so again we got an error here. It says that error at line number 5. So anybody can find the error. It's a spelling mistake. What I usually do here. So I'll just go back. So here it's not a VA name. It's a V name. Anywhere else we can see the error. V name, record. Okay, so I think it is correct now. So we come here. Okay, so I think I'll stop and share it again. Okay. Okay, now here let's execute. Still we got an error. Okay, so again I have done the same error here. Let's go back. Let me check. DBMS. So here the error was that it was a BMS, it should be the DBMS. We got a message, record fetched is a minor 28. But this is not displayed because this is in the else part. Very simple here. So I'm sure that everybody know this. This is just for your understanding that how to write a syntax as a Pl-Sql block. So with this, simply you understood how to write a if then else. Okay, so now go back. Okay, so here I think it is clear how to write it here. No need to go in a detail. This everybody know it very well that if condition, then statement 1, else statement 2, and if statement 3. So when the 1 will execute, condition true, then when, otherwise 2, and After that, it will jump to 3. So within a 1 and 2, only one statement will get executed. So this how the if then else works. Everybody know the flow chart. Now, important is a null condition. Now, null condition, first of all, we know that cannot be compared. If it is evaluated the null, then it will be considered as a false instead of true. Now, for an example, I'm comparing the null with null. It should be the true, but it will be considered as a false. Simple. So in some cases, a condition used in if statement can be evaluated to null instead of true or false. So for the if then construct, the statement will not be executed if an associated condition evaluated to null. Next control will be passed to the first executable statement after and if. Simple here. Now here the example is vnum1 number, no value is given. vnum2 number, no value is given. So can I say these two currently have the null value? Yes. Then we say begin. If this equal to this, then display this. Else it should be displayed this. So can I say now both are the null? So both are true, but it will display this one, not this, because it is considered as null. Clear? So else if condition. Else if everybody know very well that you can add the n number of conditions and go ahead. Instead of else, you have to keep on using the else if. So else if is nothing but a if under the if, that is a else if. Simple. So if this is false, so if condition 1, then statement 1. Else if condition 2. So if this condition is false, it will go here. If this is false, it will go here. If this is true, rest will not be checked. Directly it will go to the end. That's the else if statement. So else if statements are clear. So when condition 1 is evaluated to false, then control is passed to the else if part and condition 2 is evaluated and go ahead. That's the use of else if. So many times you want to check the multiple things, whether that is a boy. If yes, no other things will be checked. If no, age should be more than 20. If that is true, no problem. Otherwise, it will go to the next. So you can put a n number of conditions in a else if part. So who all are the developers who know how to write a code? Everybody know this very well, how to use a else if part. Now here the example. Just look at this and tell me what will be the result if I provide a value as 5. vnum number, assign the value. Here it's an ampersand. Ampersand means we take a value. So if I provide the value 5, what will be the result here? Just have a look. Take a 1 minute, and after the 1 minute, immediately I'll give the answer. Okay, I'm sure everybody has understood very fast that here if it is a 5, it will check whether it's a less than 0. So 5 is less than 0, false. So it will go to the next condition, equal to 0, again false. Then it will go to the else part, and result will be this number is positive. And we know that 5 is a positive. Simple. So else if, okay, there are certain things to be remembered while writing the syntax. There is no second E in the else if. ELSIF. It's not a ELSEIF. It's a else if. Condition of else if statement must be mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive means all condition must be separate from each conditions. These conditions are evaluated in a sequential order from first to last. Once a condition evaluated as the true, the remaining condition of else statements are not evaluated at all. Now here, let's say I am checking the condition greater than equal to 0. Okay, and here I provide the 5. So what will happen in that? So now here the conditions are not mutually exclusive. So 5 is greater than equal to 0. Yes. Then it will display this, it's a greater than 0. But 5 is less than 10 also. But here it will not consider that statement at all because your condition is evaluated at the first. Is it clear? Yes. So I hope this is clear, everyone. So here it is greater than less than 10 also, greater than 0 also, but the result will be this, not this. Clear? Now, when you use the else if construct, it is not necessary to specify what action to be taken if none of the condition is evaluated to true. So else part is not a compulsion part. In other words, else clause is not a compulsion in else if construct. Now here the example. Already we have done it. So I don't think we need to go ahead for the example. Now a logical operator. What do you mean by the logical operator here? Logical operator means till now different if condition used to test the operators such as greater than, less than, equal to. Logical operator can be used to evaluate a condition as well. In condition, they allow programmer to combine multiple conditions. Okay, so in this, I'm not taking anything ahead because this part we have already covered in a SQL lectures. So in SQL lectures, if anybody has not seen that, go to the operator part of the SQL and see how the logical operator works. Okay, this is just for the multiple things. So any question, any doubt up till here? I'm sure there's no doubt, no questions. Now we'll move to the most important part of our block is called a exception. Now using the exception in Pl-Sql is little bit different than what you are using in other places. There mostly we use a try and catch, but here we have a separate exception handle section. Simple. So we never use the simple try and catch anywhere. So in Pl-Sql, a warning or an error condition is called an exception. So I don't think I need to explain the exception in detail here. So exception can be internally defined, that is called by the runtime system, or it could be user defined systems. Now there are many errors. Now for an example, if you divide something by 0, you get an exception. That exception is internally defined. Correct? But sometimes you also can define your exception and you can raise that exception. So once you raise that exception, it will go to the exception part. You can define an exception of your own in a declarative part of any Pl-Sql block. Simple. When an error occurs, now here actually what happens when the error occurs? An error occurs that time if it is a initial defined exception, it will automatically raised. And once it is raised, it jump a control to the exception handling part. It jump a control to the exception handling part. And there it will check whether you have written any routine for that particular exception or not. If you have written some routine, it will execute that routine. Otherwise, it will come to the control prompt. Simple here. Now, just syntax wise, you can see here, when an error occurs, an exception is raised. That is, normal execution stops and control transfer to the exception handling part. Internal exception are raised automatically, called as implicitly. User-defined exception must be raised explicitly by a keyword raise, which can also raise a predefined exception. The handle raised exception, you write a separate routine called exception handler. After the exception handler runs, the current block stop and executing the enclosing block resume. Now, for an example, if you have a sub block, so from there, if any exception occurs, it will come to the outer block. If there is no inner or outer block, it will come to the prompt. Simple. So if there is no enclosing block, control return to the host environment. Very simple to understand here. Okay. Now we'll understand this exception in a little practical manner. We'll go here. I'll close this. Now we have to write a block. Currently, we have used a block with a declare keyword, declaration part, begin keyword, executable part, and end keyword ending the block. So we have not used the exception handling part at all. Okay. So now what we'll do here, we'll write exception handling part as well. Okay. So here we'll simply write ed, and I'll just use a share that screen with you. Okay, so I'm sure you're able to see the screen. Yes, you are able to see the screen. So I'll remove this. We'll write a new block. Okay, so before writing a block, is the screen is visible? I think it must be visible. Now I'm sure it is visible. Yes. It is showing me in orange, so I'm not sure it is visible to you or not. We'll share it again. Now I'm very sure it is visible to everyone. Here, what we'll do now, simply I'll write a code. In that code, we'll write it here. Declare. Okay. In the declare part, we'll declare a v number 1 as number 5. V number 2 as number 5. So simple, we are writing here. Then we'll say v number 3 as a number 6. Here we have missed the semicolon. Then we'll write a begin. Okay, so we'll assign the value v num1, assign the value as 10. Okay, v num2, assign the value as 20. and v num3 assign the value as v num2. Sorry, v num1, we will make it 0 divided by v num2. So, okay. Now here I'm writing v num1 divided by v num2. Correct? And we want to display dbms underscore output dot put underscore line in bracket. We can say that result is v num3. Okay, I'll just use the end here. Simple. Now I'll say the save. I'll close this so it has come here. Now I'm executing this. We got a error. Divisor is equal to 0. So can we say that when this division has happened, that time one exception is occurred? So it has not returned the result here. So currently we did not had any exception handler. So our control has directly come to the host, this thing here. Correct? So now how to use it? We'll use it again. Okay, and we'll just, before the end, we'll use a exception as an exception block. Simple. Now we'll write it here when there are certain predefined exceptions made. So for divide by 0, we have a divide by, okay, just we'll check that first. Okay, so what is the name of that? We'll check it. It is 0 divide, sorry, because here the name is different. Here the name is a 0 divide. So we'll just make it here. So we'll say here when 0 divide. Okay, so we said when 0 divide, then you can write your routine here. So I'll write it here. dbms output dot put underscore line v num3 will concat with space, then we'll concat with as 0 value. So simple here. Now I'll just close this and save it. Now earlier when we have executed, it end with an error. Now I'm executing the same. What's wrong here? Zero divide is not a correct word. Just hold it. 0 divided, it's the correct one. Okay, where is that? When 0 divide, then I don't think any error here, but let me check. So from here, this will come here. Then 0 divide, then this. We have an error in the spelling of this exception. No, it's not there. It has come here properly. So when 0 divide, some spelling mistake. Let me check. Okay. Spelling mistake. VIVID. It's not a 0 divide, it's a 0 divide. Now I'll just close this and come here. And execute it here. You will see that we got a message. Vnum3, no value, that's why nothing is there, has 0 value. Now it's not an error. It's a simple. This is nothing but we are handling the exception. Correct? Now the same thing we will do by user defined exception. We'll do the same thing with a user defined exception. So we'll go here. Now in this, we'll keep a value 5. And the value is what here? Vnum1 divided by Vnum2. So for 10 divided by 5, result will be the 2. Correct? Now here we'll write if statement. If Vnum3 less than 5. If it is a less than 5, we are assuming that it is not of our use. Very simple. So we'll say race. And we have to declare the exception here. So we'll say now EX is exception. So we'll say the raise EX. And we'll say else. You have to display this. And here we'll say and if. Now here we'll do one thing. We can write when EX, then what to be displayed. That's your choice, what you want to display. So we'll write the same here. We'll say result is out of scope. Result is out of scope. Simple what we have written here. Now I'll explain it again once. I've said EX, we have declared the exception. We have raised the exception because, and we have just given a condition that if it is less than 5, this has to be explained. And from here, it will jump directly in the exception part check for EX. So we have not written EX. So when EX, then you have to display this. So if I close it and I'll say the save. Okay, we got an error here. Error at line 11. Okay. So anybody can found the error. I found the error here. Error is if VNum is in, then we have still error at line 5. 15 exception. Okay. I do a lot of spelling mistakes. And if. Okay, now it's, I think it's clear. We got a message, the result is out of scope. Okay, it's very clear. It's very simple here. So this way you can handle the exception. Try it yourself, check it out. If any error, contact to the office. We'll stop for this here and we'll meet in the next lecture.